Joe Biden has sent a letter to congressional Democrats saying effectively again, we're not dropping out, we're not changing anything, okay? I've heard your critiques, but I'm gonna be the nominee. He says the question of how to move forward has been well aired for over a week now, and it's time for it to end. He stressed that the party has one job, which is to defeat presumptive Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump in November. Any weakening of resolve or lack of clarity about the task ahead only helps Trump and hurts us. It's time to come together, move forward as a unified party, and defeat Donald Trump. And so I like the jujitsu or the judo of that of, no, it's not that I'm a weak candidate that has been trailing for months and is now trailing worse. Your divisiveness is what's weak. So I don't agree with that. I think that that's BS, but I think strategically that's clever. The issue is that, like fighting with you and you refusing to step down could potentially help Trump, sure. But fighting with you, if that causes you to step down and you get replaced by someone who polls much better against Trump, that does not help Trump. That does the opposite of it.
The video will continue in just a moment, but first I have a message for you. TYT needs your help. Membership is vital to survival, so please go to tyt.com/team and become a member today.
And you just have to understand, we care about defeating Donald Trump. That is goal one. You know what goal two is? Right now, I don't, because that's the goal. That's the only one that matters.
Yep.
For people who are Biden or work for Biden, that's a big goal, defeating Trump. Being president is also a big goal. Having that job, not having to go back on LinkedIn as an aide or whatever is a big job. They're trying to balance both of those things. We're not. I have no specific person that I'm suggesting should replace him. And none of the people who will replace him share much ideologically with me at all. But if they have a better chance of defeating Donald Trump, then that is my only goal. And I have a purer goal than they do because they want to stay in power. Now that said, we have an idea, at least has been put forward, of if he were to step down, how do we find another centrist Democrat to replace him? But quick comment about his letter.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's abysmal. Once again, it is shaming. It's the exact same thing. And honestly, it's a thing that a lot of his supporters, even pundits, have been saying to others, like progressives who are like, hey, could you please, stop, supporting Israel with all these weapons and, leading to the death of, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. And they're like, shut up. You want Donald Trump to get reelected, shut up. And now those people are actually, the circle gets tighter and tighter. And the closer and closer they are to Joe Biden, saying, maybe you need to sit this one out, dog. Like you've done enough. And we have 4 months. It is wild to me that we're meeting this kind of resistance when it is so clear. John, the last thing I'm just gonna say is we only win, Democrats only win with voter turnout. That's the only way they win. You're not gonna pick off these MAGA folks. You're not gonna convince them. If you did, it was during a global pandemic where Donald Trump was suggesting to inject bleach into everyone's eyeballs or wherever. And no one's talking about the pandemic anymore. We are in a radically different moment 4 years later. And the only way we win is with voter turnout. And all the people that Joe Biden had vote for him, had stump for him, had volunteer for him, they are not energized. They are zero, they're nowhere to be found. Is that on them? No, it's on Joe effing Biden.
Yeah, 100%. But I see people ask about then who should the replacements be based on the polling. We're not gonna go through all the polling again. We did multiple days of that yesterday. When new polls come in, we will do that. If you wanna see our coverage of the multiple candidates that at least in some of those polls are doing better than Joe Biden in those states, that's already on the channel. We'll talk about more. I will just say the last New York Times poll had Biden down 6 points. When a Democrat has to win by like 3 or 4 points, thanks to the Electoral College to actually win. And so again, like all you're doing is helping Trump. No, Biden has been losing 4 months. If in your defense of Biden as the candidate, you do not address the fact that he has been losing this whole time, then I don't know what game we're playing here. And by the way, I would also point out that although we've never had a progressive as our presidential candidate, during the primaries, have you noticed that attacking progressives has never just been helping the other side? Totally legitimate to attack a progressive, even if it eventually ends up hurting them. It's always totally legitimate. But whoever the centrist darling is in the race, you can't attack them, okay? Because that is gonna help out the right.
You can even use Republican money. You can use Republican money vis-a-vis AIPAC to actually
100%.
knock out another Democrat or progressive, and nobody tells you that you're dividing the party. That's fine.
100%. Anyway, look, there's this plan that people have put out, a couple of like well-connected Democrats, for what they're calling a blitz primary, which would be he would step down in mid-July, Harris would okay it, and then we'd have a period of a couple of days of people putting forward their name. We would have like town hall, like weekly forums with the candidates. They would bring in, I love that, Michelle Obama, Oprah, and Taylor Swift, or alternatively, they could be the nominee. To sort of draw a lot of eyes to it, and it would draw a lot of eyes and a lot of donations. You could announce it right before the RNC and totally undercut people's interest in the RNC.
Yes,
that would be so good. Again, this is not like, who knows if this is how they would do it or whatever, but you would have to have some period of Gavin Newsom putting his name forward, and Pritzker and Shapiro and all of that. So maybe it'll be a blitz primary if it happens, but again, still doesn't look like it's going to happen. So we'll see.